Hello, it's Jill Cunningham again, ready to channel a message for us today. So we'll see what it is we need to learn right now. Greetings indeed from God, Source, the Divine I Am. I'm always happy to connect with those of you on an ascension path. It is always a beautiful connection because you are ones who are asking existential questions, who are thinking the deep thoughts, and just the action of asking the question is lifting your vibration. Just the thought you are putting into this process, even if you don't receive an answer, and sometimes your ego mind cannot understand the answer. It is not possible. And sometimes it's something you just cannot know at this juncture. But of course, when you leave your physical body, ultimately you will remember so many of these things. But for now, in this state, you're here to learn certain things, and it simply does not require all knowledge. And in fact would be hampered if you had all knowledge. So of course you don't always receive an answer, but just the asking of the question is lifting your vibration, for it brings you closer to the quantum field, to that place where all answers live, exist, and are. So continue to ask the questions, and of course your guides will answer when they can. But it is a process that is interesting and often seems to bring you in circles. But know that even when you feel like you are going in circles because you're not finding a clear answer, really you are lifting. You are lifting yourself by pondering this. And today we would like to address a question that has arisen recently for many, which is the act of forgiveness. And we remind you, of course, in every moment, you can respond with love or with fear. And you are, of course, striving for the love response. So, of course, being human, you have fear-based responses every day. It is part of the process. And you are working, we know, on trying to catch yourself and trying to have a loving response. So when you think of the act of forgiveness, remember that in order to have a feeling that you need to forgive someone, you must first have passed judgment on them as having done something wrong, as having done something that requires forgiveness. And that means you have engaged in a fear-based response because you have passed judgment on another. And therefore, when you have the act of forgiveness, this is a love response. You are, in essence, forgiving yourself for your own fear-based reaction. For it is not your responsibility to pass judgment on another or forgive another, for indeed the quantum field, the divine I Am, Source, is not passing judgment. Therefore, forgiveness is not necessary. So this idea that you need to forgive another is predicated on an act of judgment by the human involved. It is a circle you can go in Your ego mind is already saying, but what? But what if? What if they killed my loved one? What if I was physically attacked? What if? And remember, dear ones, first of all, the major traumatic experiences in your life, and all humans have them, are arranged before you come here by you so that you may learn from them. And so part of your process is stopping when you encounter darkness and finding the light, finding what is the lesson I intended to learn from this really tragic experience. What is the light? What is the love? What perspective do I have now that I didn't have before? Because this is growth. This is learning. This is evolving, which is what you are here to do. Do not wonder, even for a moment, about what drove another to their action, because truly, it doesn't matter to you. They have their own journey and you have yours. Truly. Anytime you spend worrying about someone else's behavior is just time that you are lowering your own vibration. You can't control that. They have free will, you have free will. Find the light. This is not to say you have to inflict bad behavior upon yourself. If someone is harmful to you can choose not to be around that person, but still feel love to all. Still strive to not judge any, and let others go off and make their own mistakes, just like you are allowed to make your own mistakes. We hope that you spend some time thinking about this, thinking about trying to love all. Of course, loving yourself in that picture, but just trying to love and trying to understand that we all have our own path, and your path never involves judging another, even though humans are very good at this. It is part of the ego mind, and it is trying to invade your brain every day. Catch it, let it go. Catch it again, let it go again, and forgive yourself. Don't judge yourself for judging. That's just more of the circle. This is not easy. This is something you never perfectly master. For in human form, it will just continue to come up. It is your process to continue to catch yourself at it and reverse course and try again. This is probably something you have heard before, but it is something that is always a good reminder, because it always comes up for every human, every day. Anything you are hanging on to from the past that upset you, you were hurting yourself by hanging on to it. You're not hurting the perpetrator, so to speak. Let it go. Let it go. Forgive yourself for that act of judgment and move forward. We love to leave you with things like this to think about, because as we said, thinking about it, just thinking about it, will raise your vibration. And so for today, with great love, this message is complete. Ooh, I love this message. true. Very true. This applies to everyone. So we'll ponder this and we'll talk soon. Thank you.